Hello and welcome back to Game 2 with Nahiri Control in Modern. This hand is great. I don't see anything wrong with it. We are on the draw, unfortunately. Faithless Looting. For our opponent, they discard Stinkweed Imp and Conflagrate. Alright, so we're playing against Dredge. This is interesting. I have a bad matchup against Dredge for this deck because I'm so slow. And counter spells don't really do a lot because it just puts them in the graveyard, except for in Reman's case. So they dredge Stinkweed Imp, and now they have a Narcomoeba. But fortunately, they just have the Narcomoeba. They don't have any prized amalgams or blood gas in their graveyard. And we have an Electrolyze and a Bolt, so I'm going to kill that Narcomoeba as soon as I have the mana for it. So we untap. I'm going to shock in the Sacred Foundry and pass the turn, so I can hold up Remand for a flashback Faithless Looting, a flashback Conflagrate. Okay, so now they have, and I'm also holding a Bolt, but now they have two Narcomoebas, which is great, because I get to 2-for-1 with Electrolyze, but they also have two Blood Gas, which is troubling, because now they're going to get them both back. They don't have Haste on the upside, but they do get to come back for free. I can't imagine he's going to fetch here. Yeah. He's going to wait for me to kill his Blood Gas or something along those lines before fetching. Or he's going to wait till there's more Blood Gas in the graveyard. So I'm just going to play this Plains here because I don't want to take unnecessary damage. Because I would have to fetch and shock or fetch a basic. And I'd rather get a dual land with that. So he's fetching. He's probably going to get a Stomping Ground. Going to dredge the Grave Troll. So I'm going to... Okay, third Narcomoeba. That seems good. And now they have two prized amalgams in the yard. Rest in Peace is coming in. For sure. Now I can't... My heart says to bolt the to electrolyze the Narcomoebas, but I'm tempted to get rid of the Blood Gas just because of how much damage is coming through, so I think I'm going to do that, actually. They get to come... Well... So, I killed the Blood Gas, but that allows them to get more prized amalgam triggers. And if I don't, I go to 13 and kill the Narcomoebas. But if I do, I go to 15 and I get to stay alive longer. I don't want them to get more prized amalgam triggers, so I'm just going to kill the Narcomoebas and hope to draw something good. Like a Path. Path would be great. Other than that, I think my game plan for right now is to fetch, get a untapped land, play Nahiri, exile one of these two, let them kill Nahiri, which I know they will, and if they don't, I'm going to exile something else. Probably a prized amalgam. So flashback Faceless Looting for our opponent. Let's see what they discard. So they got another Bloodghast. And they got two more prized amalgams. So hopefully they don't play land. Okay, they did. Well, it wouldn't matter if I had killed the Bloodghast anyway, because they're going to get another trigger. I'm desperately hoping for Supreme Verdict. Even though Supreme Verdict is a really temporary solution to a permanent problem. Alright, so we drew a Path. That's something, I guess. We could play land and Snapcast, Path, Snapcaster, Path. The Nahiri plan doesn't work because they have all four prized amalgams, because they don't need to deal with the Planeswalker because they can just kill us. So I'm going to play the Flooded Strand. And I'm going to pass. And I'm going to pass on their turn, pathing these two and blocking. Sure, go ahead and attack. Because they're attacking in for 2, 4, 6. Yeah, they're hitting us for a lot. So I'm going to crack this. I'm just going to get a basic island. There's no guarantee I'm not still dead. It's not be bad and sequence this poorly. So I'm going to path him. Fortunately, there's no blood gas. Play a Snapcaster, target path. Go to declare blockers. 4 damage. Path. And I'm still going to take 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go to 2. Yeah, I don't think we're going to win this game. Fortunately, we get to be on the draw. And there's a greater chance that we get rest in peace. Oh, he's going to conflagrate. He's going to conflagrate and finish me off. Yep. Good job. Alright, so let's see. We got deck, more salvage, Grave Trolls. It just looks like a pretty base build of Dredge. Alright. That's fine. I think we bring in the Negate. Definitely the Rest in Pieces. Definitely the Celestial Purge. Definitely the Anger of the Gods. Vendilion Click is kind of cute because I can flash it in and block and also pick a Dredger or a card that enables their Dredge out and put it on the bottom, but I don't actually really like it that much. So I think I bring in Negate just so I can bring down the number of ways they can put cards in their yard. Rest in Peace is the big payoff though. That's what I want the most. I think I cut Spell Snare because they don't have any 2-drops that I really care about. On the stack, Conflagrate isn't a 2-drop unless it's being done for 2 or being done for 1, and I don't see a situation where that happens. And I don't know of any other cards other than Bloodghast, but even then, it's not that good because I'd rather reanimate Bloodghast. So I think I cut Spell Snare. Gonna cut the Click. Looking at timely reinforcements, and I'm wondering about that. It sets up blockers. I'm actually going to cut Mana Leak. Run it back like that. And hope to have Rest in Peace in my opener. Okay, so his hand is bad, but I'm going to keep it because of the Rest in Peace. I hope I don't end up kicking myself for this. I hope they don't have Natural State or anything else that destroys enchantments. If they do, oh no. Oh no. Yup. This game, I don't know if we can win now. Alright, no, actually, we're okay. We'll be alright. We drew an Anger of the Gods, which exiles, so we can just let them go off like they did before and slam Anger of the Gods and wipe them. But that's assuming they don't play another hand hate spell. They must have Thoughtseize on the board. Because I did not see that coming at all. They're already at 12. Could just play the burn game. So they hardcast a Narcomoeba, which is fine. Path. Just gonna play this land tapped and pass the turn. I'll take pokes for 1. We're at 20. I'm not super worried. They must have kept because of the Thoughtseize. But now they know that we have Rest in Peace in the deck. So if they have enchantment removal, they're probably siding it in next game if we win. So we drew Remand, which is great. I couldn't be happier about that draw, actually. We didn't hit a land. which would have been nice. I would have loved to hit a 4th land, but Remand is almost better. Hardcast Prized Amalgam. I'm gonna Remand. Okay, we drew our 4th land, which is great. And they play a tap Stomping Ground. This is a really slow start from Dredge. This could, I mean, in this scenario, I mean, if they had just Thoughtseize me, taken my Rest in Peace, and played a Looting, I can't see us coming back from that sort of start. But that's not what they're doing. They must have kept on the Thoughtseize. And so what I'm going to do, all I'm going to do is try to keep their... I'm fine with an Archimedes poking me, but I'm going to try to keep their heavy hitters, like the Amalgams and the Bloodghast, back with cards like Lightning Bolt and Path and Anger. Loam. So, the problem with Loam, I can counter it, but that doesn't do anything. They're casting it to Dredge, and they might also Conflagrate for a bunch. So I'm just going to let Loam resolve. Their lands sit in their hand, and they get to reanimate Bloodghast 3 times, at least. So, that's fine. I have no reason. I don't gain anything by countering life from the Loam, unless it was a Remand. I am going to bolt the Prized Amalgam at their end step. It seems bad putting one of the best cards in their deck back into their graveyard, but given that they have no way to reanimate it, taking 4 doesn't seem appealing. I'm going to do whatever I can to keep them from discarding cards and putting things in their graveyard. So they dredged their Life from the Loam and got 2 lands and a Neonate, which I could not be happier with. So right now, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but initially I had the Rest in Peace and the Emrakul in my hand. That means we couldn't have won with Emrakul. We would have had to go on the beatdown plan. So actually it kind of works out for us that they took our Rest in Peace, because we wouldn't have been able to play it until Emrakul was gone. So they're going to attack. Fine. We go to 14. I'm not concerned. I'm going to crack the fetches, which I forgot to do last turn. Get Steam Vents. And I'm going to get another Steam Vents. So we have all of our shocks in play. Alright, and we drew a Lighthouse, which is great, because we get to shuffle the Rest in Peace back in, and we get to shuffle all of these remands back in, or all one of those remands back in. Unfortunately, we have to shuffle the Aaron Mesas, but everything else is just great. Alright, so Narcomoeba. Narcomoeba is going to bring back this Prized Amalgam. Let it happen. And now might be the time to Anger. So they brought an Ancient Grudge for some reason. Oh, they probably expected Relic. They probably expected Relic over Rest in Peace. So, a Life from the Loam with no targets, just to get another Dredger in the graveyard. They even have the Dakmor Salvage out of their graveyard. They have a really land-heavy draw. They could Conflagrate us. I'm somewhat worried about that, but not overly so. So that's going to happen, but before it does, I'm going to activate the Lighthouse and discard Emrakul. Shuffle it all back. Maybe top deck a Rest in Peace, pretty please. If we top deck Rest in Peace, I'm going to Anger of the Gods and play Rest in Peace, but we didn't, which is fine. I'm not worried. Well, I am worried, but not enough to do anything about it. So we have we drew a land, and we have 2 lands on top that we have no interest in drawing. I'm gonna play the Anger of the Gods now, just because I want them to be as slow as possible. There's a good chance that doing it prematurely and not just using the path is bad. But we have Snapcaster, and I'm banking on drawing a Snapcaster. So they hit a Narcomoeba, which is fine. That's their third Narcomoeba. And I'm very happy to see that. They also have a deck more salvage now. There are Dredgers. They're playing the worst Dredgers in their deck. He's probably going to cast Life from the Loam and get the Bloodstained Mire back to his hand. We also have to remand, so I'm actually tempted to remand this Life from the Loam just to make him recast it. I don't think that's good, so I'll just let it resolve. They have a Dredger, whether I like it or not. But I really want to dig for Rest in Peace. And I also want my counter spells for any enchantment hate that they have. Because I know a lot of these decks play what's it called? Alright, so Conflagrate for 2 is coming at our face. Just so I have a feeling, just so they can discard cards, I'm going to remand in response. So I'm glad I didn't oh, okay, so we drew Path. I'm glad I didn't remand the Loam. Cracking the fetch now just to thin, and I'm going to play the Colonnade unless we draw another land. Alright, so we have 3 paths and a Cryptic Command. I'm pretty confident that we can stave off an attack long enough to win. Because we can tap all their permanents, all their creatures down. We can counter whatever we need to counter. They have Abrupt Decay. Okay. So Abrupt Decay is in here, and that can kill Rest in Peace pretty easily. We have no way to touch Abrupt Decay. And we're back to taking 1/1 flying beats. But I'm not going to Path because it doesn't come back once we exile it, and we can untap, Colonnade, and block. So are we getting another Conflagrate? Conflagrate for 3. So the whole point of them doing this is to get it in the graveyard so they can discard a bunch of cards. So I think I just take it. I don't like taking it. Every part of me wanted to counter that. But I know that the real damage comes from Flashback. I'm now more tempted to path this Narcomoeba. Okay, they didn't even attack with it, so we're gonna untap. We drew a Colonnade. I'm tempted to keep it in my hand for discarded fodder so we can Desolate Lighthouse. Really tempted to do that, so I think I will. We don't need second Colonnade. We don't need the extra mana. We're totally fine right now. So I'm just gonna pass the turn. We have 41 cards left in our deck that aren't Rest in Peace. And we need to dig. We really need to dig. And depending on what they discard, that kind of tips us off to what's in their hand. So now they dredged. So they have Collective Brutality and Forest in their guard now. They want to address the deck more salvage. Alright, so I assume that Conflagrate's coming, and like I was saying, depending on how many cards they keep in their hand, that tips us off to. Okay, so they pitched everything, so they just had garbage in their hand the entire time. I'm surprised they didn't. Oh, they didn't have any lands, but I'm just gonna counter this. I'm gonna counter this, and I'm tempted to bounce the Narcomoeba. Just so it does nothing. But I'd rather draw. And maybe I'll path it. Yeah, I'm gonna path just so they have no avenues. It's not the card that it's not a creature that I want to path, but I just want to cut them off as much as I can right now. So we drew a land. Can I activate both my man lands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I can't. but I can hold up path. So since I can't activate mana lands, I'm just going to play the second Colonnade. And I'm going to beat down. Since they're at 10 life, this isn't going to take much, and we have... They have one Narcomoeba left. They're going to dredge life from the loam. So best case scenario for them is they dredge over 2 prized amalgams and a bloodghast. So that way they could life from the loam, return a land to their hand, and they get all their cards back. So they have life from the loam in their hand, and they do have Golgari Charm for enchantment disruption. But yeah, we got it. Curious how far away we were from anything meaningful. Alright, Rest in Peace was right there. Oh man, but Emrakul was following after it. That's not a fun thing to see. Alright, well now that I know they have Thoughtseize and Golgari Charm, I'm going to be a lot more careful with the hand that I keep. I was tempted to bring back in Spell Snare, but I still don't think it's worth it. I think that the cards that we have are fine. I was talking about this in the deck tech, how I don't really love Remand, but this is a matchup where Remand is phenomenally better than Mana Leak or even just actual Counterspell, because I don't want them to have cards in their graveyard at all. Alright, this is another hand where I look at it, I see the Rest in Peace, and I want to keep it, but there's also Emrakul, and there's 2 Cryptic Commands. I have to mulligan this, because there wasn't even a white source to play the Rest in Peace, and this hand is also bad. This hand is also really, really bad. So I'm going to go to 5. I have to keep this. It's bad, but I have to keep this. Alright, there's a land on top, so... We're in business, but business is weak. I'm fully expecting a Thoughtseize. Okay, we didn't get Thoughtseized, so score 1 for the home team. I'm just going to play a Floodstrand Pass. I'm going to get a Hallowed Fountain with it. So they shock in. Hardcast Bloodghast, maybe? Yep. Hardcast Bloodghast. It's fine. I'm actually going to wait on... playing the Rest in Peace. I'm not going to play it early because, like in the last game, I saw that they had artifact removal. Or enchantment removal. So they don't have anything meaningful to exile. If I'm going to play Rest in Peace, I would at least want to nuke a fair amount of what's in their graveyard. See? They're hard casting all their stuff. If I draw a land, this Anger of the Gods is going to be sweet. I'm going to fetch now, get that. I'm actually going to get Sacred Foundry because of all the red. And we draw Negate. Well, we're just going to pass it back and hope to not die. We're going to take 3. We're going to go to 14. But that's not as fast as Dredge normally is, and I think we'll be okay. I don't want to put the Stinkweed in the graveyard. Well, actually, maybe I do. If I can get to 4 lands, I will happily bolt that Stinkweed. If we draw land, then I will bolt that Stinkweed, make them dredge, and then play Rest in Peace with Negate backup. Alright, so what do we got? I'm happy drawing any land right now. So they discard Grave Troll and Prized Amalgam. Neonate. So they're going to dredge immediately, I assume. Which actually is great. I want to draw a land desperately. Okay, fantastic. We hit a land. I could not be happier about that. So because we drew a land, I'm actually not going to crack it until my turn, just to increase the likelihood that I draw land. But I'm very tempted to bolt something here. Ooh, they got a lot of sweet stuff in there. They have a Bloodghast. They have 2 Prized Amalgams. tempted to bolt the Bloodghast. Yeah, I'm going to bolt the Bloodghast. The reason I'm bolting the Bloodghast is I want to bait him into playing a land, reanimating all this stuff so I can Anger of the Gods. Because there's no way he's going to be able to stop that. I want him to reanimate. I want him to go nuts right now. Flashback Faithless Looting. I mean, worst case scenario, he draws a Thoughtseize, but then he has to choose between Rest in Peace and Anger of the Gods, and honestly, I'll probably just negate it. Yep, alright, here we go. This is going to be a good Anger of the Gods. And I'm probably going to follow it up with Rest in Peace. Because they have stuff to refuel. Yep, let all of that happen. That's all fine. That's all fine by me. I am more tempted to... I think I'm going to crack this Arid Mace on my end step, on their end step. Just to be safe. I run 24 lands, so I think it'll be fine if I thin now. But since I have double red, I am going to get a Hallowed Fountain here. Untap, let them do their thing. Just going to F6, let all those triggers resolve. I drew a Remand. It's fine. I would have preferred a land. But we have Anger of the Gods. So, gonna let that happen. So, let's see. They got us. They have plenty of dredgers. They have plenty of fuel, but we did hit 3 Bloodghast. They have 4 Narc Amoebas left to get Amalgams back. They have... I'm trying to think of what else they have to get any... I genuinely can't think of anything. Alright, but now that we have 4 lands, I'm gonna play Rest in Peace. And I'm gonna sit on this Remand and this Negate. He can poke me for 1. That's fine, but what I'm hoping is he plays an enchantment removal spell, I get to counter it. I'll play Nahiri. Shucks. The one that I can't counter, of course, but then again, I got rid of 30 cards. That is half of their deck. And I got rid of a lot of really good dredgers. I got rid of a Life from the Loam, Grave Trolls, Conflagrates. I got rid of a lot of stuff. And they don't have any dredgers now. It's going to take... And they have 2 cards left in their hand. It's going to take a fair amount for them to refuel. We also drew a Path. So, alright. I'm going to wait on Nahiri, and I'm going to Path the Stinky. The reason I'm waiting on Nahiri is if they have Conflagrate, because they can Conflagrate for... Well, they can only do it for 1, but if they played a land... So, they attack with Stinkweed Imp. Path. They get their land. Which doesn't get any Bloodghast, because they're all gone. Hardcast Haunted Dead. Haunted Dead, excuse me. I'm gonna Remand. I just don't want them to do anything at all. We drew Serum Visions, which is good. Alright, so we have another Nahiri for backup. So I'm just gonna play this one now. I'm gonna plus and pitch that one, actually. Land is fine. I'm gonna crack it. Unfortunately, all the Bloodghast now have haste, but it's only one of them. And we drew Arid Mesa, but there was a path and an island on top, so I'm gonna bottom the path and leave the path there. So they have the Haunted Dead, fine. It's fine by me. We're gonna loot. Oh, don't mind if I do. So now my plan is to throw away Snapcaster at Hunted Dead and Path the Spirit. I don't think that they're going to be fast enough. They're probably going to... Alright, so what could go wrong here if I'd let this resolve? They discard Conflagrate, and then they attempt to Conflagrate Nahiri, or they discard Dredgers. Best case, so ideally for me, is that I counter this, and then they flash it back, and then they have no mana to do anything. But then I can still, yeah, I don't see a reason not to take care of this now. Because I still have the mana to Path and Snapcaster Mage. Okay, so they flash back. Let's see what they pitch. Either they're doing it to get rid of really good cards, or they're doing it to find gas. So they found their remaining Grave Trolls, but because of... And they found an Neonate. But because of what we're about to do, it doesn't matter. We, because of the Snapcaster Mage, we are just ready to go. Alright, so they dredged. They got some sweet stuff, but they don't have the mana to do anything. Yeah, you can attack. I'm not going to Snapcaster until they've declared their attackers, just in case they click through it. Or they do something where we can only cast the... where we would rather just cast the one path. So just going to make sure I tap correctly here. Play the Snapcaster. Target Path to Exile. And our opponent scoops it up. That was Game 2 with Nahiri Control in Modern. Thank you for watching, and come back for Game 3.